Hello, everyone. Kenyon here, Basketball Rewind. We're joined by a new guy on the live, but kind of an old guy, to be honest. Mouth of the North, welcome. We're obviously going to go through just a couple things, and then as we go through, if we do have the time, if we get through everything quickly enough, we'll invite some people up on stage. I'm going to make my lighting a little bit better as we start this. First things first, how are you guys doing?
Well, I'll give the
This
mic to
wonderful
Mouth,
evening.
man. Mouth, how you doing, man?
Oh, I'm great, man. I'm great. Finally, something to talk about.
Yeah,
Um,
there's a lot of interesting things definitely to talk about. Sorry, you were saying?
no, I'm just saying, like these are the times as a fan you kind of live for when you feel you're on the precipice of something big, man. You
And
get
then
the
it
little,
doesn't happen.
yeah. Well, that's also part of being a fan. But you can
Let
feel,
me just say, beyond this is actually remarkable. Unlike the coaching that we saw this year.
yeah, yes, I would say
Yes.
this is the biggest news that we've had in a long time. If things come to fruition, let's put it that way.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah. So I mean, just to build into it, the Raptors right now are in a situation, and I don't want to just talk about the Raptors. If we have time, I do want to actually talk about the playoffs if we have the time. If we have the time, but the Raptors are in a situation where they are under the umbrella of MLSE, and MLSE had a number of different organizational changes, including the biggest one, which is an ownership change. Now, when ownership changes, that's something that's really, really different. Um, and Will, Giovanni, I see your stuff. I will definitely get to it in just a second. I think when those things happen, it puts pressure on everyone below. And so I've actually made an organizational chart. We're going to kind of start with this, and we're going to just talk about the changes that have happened and what it looks like is going to happen moving forward based on the comments of Keith Pelly, and then we'll kind of go from there. And why I think that Giannis is such an interesting topic. So yeah. But before we get into that, we'll get to some comments really quickly and then go. Okay, so and I think saying if Scotty was to have Pascal's, yeah, well, um, I'm not going to make this a versus conversation today. Um, but yeah, it's possible, but the problem is that if he wants to, I do think that Giannis would come here. And I think he'd come here for a couple of reasons. I'll let the people who are up here on the stage with me give their own opinions, but I do think that there is enough smoke, and I do think that there is a connection. I mean, Giannis has spoken, I think, even as recent as within the past couple of months, talking about how good of a relationship Pascal. Oh, sorry. He actually does have a relationship with Pascal, which is an interesting little wrinkle in all of this. But how good his relationship is with Masai. He wouldn't be here without Masai because Masai helped his family when basically they were practically homeless or whatever on the streets of Greece, and he helped him to get passports and basically helped him to start a career that has changed his life and the next generations of lives for forever. So I think that there's a relationship there. And without going anything further, obviously we saw the playoffs, we saw Tatum, we saw all that type of stuff. That changes the perspective of things. So yeah, any thoughts?
I'll wait till we get the Giannis stuff for me, but you said it best. Yeah, I mean, that's a big card that the Raptors could play at this point.
Yeah. Now, I will mention, because I'm not going to do a back and forth with anyone right now about Toronto versus this versus that. Yes, there are other things that he has talked about. Initially, there was reports of him going for no state income tax, but there's been subsequent reports that say he wants to stay in the East. There's no real Eastern Conference team that I can think of, unless you're thinking Miami, and there's no real way for them to do it without Bam.
Well, there's one in Gotham.
Yeah, but I was gonna say that have low income tax.
Yeah, low income tax. Fair enough. Yes.
So really, it's Miami, unless you see Orlando. Orlando's a clunky fit because they need shooting already, and they've needed shooting. So I think just from that standpoint, Again, if you don't believe that he's going to go, then fair enough. At a conversation, that's all.
So
she wrote.
Orlando's interesting because they can offer similar packages that we could.
Mm-hmm.
They
They
could.
could offer Banchero. That's what they'd have to do.
Well, last time I checked, I think the Georgia taxes are pretty decent too, actually. So
They are. They are. So,
I mean Orlando.
Yeah,
Oh, no.
You mentioned that as well, but
yeah, just
Oh,
up with
okay,
the
yeah.
taxes in this case, and considering the news that happened the last couple of weeks,
Oh yeah.
yeah,
hey, Georgia's on my mind, man. To quote the great man.
yes.
Good song.
This is an interesting thing is that Masai's never traded more than a first rounder. He's also never done a 3-team trade. If you could somehow get Portland in this deal, by the way, as where they're sending Milwaukee stuff, or even the Pelicans where they're sending Milwaukee's picks to Milwaukee, that's interesting as well. But those picks are spread out throughout the entire league. Yeah, but Texas is not on the East Coast. Last time I checked, so yeah. So to kind of keep it focused, just to go through the org chart before we go through anything else, and we can have all the fun in the world, to be honest. Again, can I actually share just a window? Maybe it'll let me share just a window. There. Okay. Okay. You can see the window, I'm assuming.
Coming up.
Cool.
See it.
So this is essentially what the org chart looked like 2 months ago. Now, I'm going to mispronounce some of the names, but essentially you have your presidents of different types of sports. President of basketball operations, you have president of hockey, and president of soccer. Now, the soccer one was recently removed, I think before this year, actually.
Mm-hmm.
So
Correct.
he is gone. I don't know the name of that person.
Yes.
The president of hockey is gone. So those people
Brendan
do not exist.
Shanahan has been not, his contract was not renewed.
Yes. Now there was a coach, a GM and a coach of soccer that was recently hired, Frazier and Hernandez, and Trent Living and Berube.
Berube.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Really not good with these names. But yeah, at the end of the day, that is kind of what you're looking at. Is this type of organizational chart has changed. President of basketball operations, obviously the GM is Bobby, head coach is currently Darko, and president of basketball operations is going to be Masai Ujiri. This is what it looks like today. So we've made some changes. And some of the conversations that have happened are basically focused on this. They want to do a little bit of streamlining. I think I was listening to a podcast that Will actually shared. Thank you from the chat. Now I will get to the chat in just a second. But the interesting thing from the chat, from what it was saying is that MLSE used to be 450 employees. They're now 800. They're looking to, the word efficiency is recently come up quite a lot. Does that mean that Masai is gone? I don't think so. I think he's warranted with the championship that he will be grandfathered onto a deal. It may not be a sweetheart deal, may not be the nice deal. He might have to take a haircut himself. But if he wants it, it seems like there's a bit of, and I'll let Beyond go after, there's a bit of a Mexican standoff going on where, yes, it's a results-oriented business, but at the same time, they're a little bit more focused on when Masai's gone, likely of his choosing of some way, shape, or form, or if, of course, things go real belly up, which is possible. Well, there's no more basketball of operations or president of basketball operations. Is Keith Pelly into GM and head coach, and he trusts the GMs and the head coaches in terms of their decision making. So yeah, I think that kind of covers that idea. Beyond, any thoughts before we get into the Messiah aspect?
Mouth made a very important, what they say, a distinction, but with the difference. The fact that Shanahan was not renewed is a very important part of this, because it's going to be interesting how it gets played out in the next season. Because to your point, if it goes belly up, they could be justified to do so.
Yeah.
But if even if it does go belly up, I think there is an element based on the cachet that Masai has in the city. Obviously, bringing the championship here, that he's a little bit more of a much more difficult or thornier situation to deal with in this case. And I think my theory's always been, I call it like a Mexican standoff. I think if someone offered a great deal for Masai and they take Masai off of MLSE's hands, I think they would say, you know what, it's been fun and good luck to you and move on. I really think they would want to find a way to do so. I think they would treat Masai very similar to Shanahan, where they'll just say they won't renew it. They don't want to go outright fire Masai. I can get the rationale from a business and obviously from a public relations standpoint not doing so. The only thing I would be concerned about is worrying so much about public relations when it's costing you time, money, and your franchise, depending on what the situation may be with your team. And that will depend on what the state of the team looks like, say by Christmas time, what it looks like. So that's my thoughts on it.
Yeah. And so, yeah, I'll just get to this comment real quick. Oh, whoops. There we go. Yeah, so Masai's willing to take a pay cut, and hi, Keenan. Masai's willing to take a pay cut, or sorry, will have to probably take a haircut no matter what. Yeah, I think 15 million is going to be tough, especially, I mean, just the economic environment. It's not great. Like, let's keep it a buck. I think the key thing here is this: whether it's a pay cut or even just like for his next extension, staying the same. It's hard for him to sell, hey, I'm going to be getting a raise based on the past 5 years compared to the last time I'm coming off a championship. It's a little bit of a different conversation. But again, I think that it seems like there's a bit of a Mexican standoff, and he's as long as you're here, as long as you want, sir, kind of a thing.
So I just want to make this clear. Keith Kelly is not messing around.
No, he's not. He talked about results oriented. Yeah.
Yeah, like if it doesn't go well this year, he's going to let the contract run out, and he's going to say the exact same thing he said about Brendan Shanahan and the Leafs. I don't need a president. Yeah. That's what he's going to say. He's going to save the $15 million. He will spend more on his GM. He'll spend more on his coach if he has to, but he's not going to spend $15 million on a presidency. He'll leave it vacant, just like the Leafs, and that will be the end of Masai. Pretty simple.
It could be. The only thing I would say is, I guess when we get to it, there's that big, giant situation in Milwaukee that make things very interesting.
So this is also interesting. I haven't had a chance to listen to the entirety of that podcast, but he has mentioned multiple times that the way that he feels about the organizational chart is quite flexible, let's say. But it sounds like, yeah, if they go with another president of hockey, they're looking more of kind of or soccer, I guess, as well. They're looking for people who are going to have less of a say. They want people that are more closer to the situation, your head coaches, to have more of a say on personnel, because they're in the mix all the time. So, say, for example, like you have a Dwayne Casey. You're going to trust Dwayne Casey a little bit more than someone who's, sometimes, to be honest, some of these executives don't even show up to games all the time. We've seen that. They don't even travel with the team. So, yeah.
But at the same time, though, I get what you guys are saying. I get how the coaches should have some input on that. But I wouldn't want the president of basketball ops of a team to not have any say, kind of thing, unless this is a major, massive deal where you have to get ownership involved. I understand that, but the president should have, ideally the last say. If it's not going to be this case, it's going to be the GM.
At least it should be the GM.
I have coached. So basically, the reason why Shanahan, other than performance, is not in Toronto right now is that Keith Kelly did not want to have the GM, Brad Cheever, make a move. And then, oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm not going there.
Stan Van Gundy was a better coach than GM, but go on.
So the Leafs hierarchy was a complicated one. So whether it be Brad Treliving or Kyle Dubas, the former GM, would have to go to Shanahan to approve moves. Keith Kelly did not want that relationship anymore. He wanted the GM to be able to make moves freely, consult with the coach, see if they want the player and make the move. Shanahan was always the hierarchy. You had to go through him, which is why a lot of trades didn't get done in Toronto. And so if that's the case in Raptorland, even if, Masai does well and maybe he stays, Keith Pelly does not want that on his teams. He does not want the GM to have to go through the president to make a move. And so even from that perspective, it'll be interesting to see if they keep this dynamic or if he does the Leafs model as he is now, where the coach and GM make the moves.
Yeah, and yes, I'm aware that the situations are a bit different, but it's important to bring out the situations because the relationship that Keith Pelly had with Shanahan is also very different. Now, I'm not saying this. If you're getting from this that I'm saying that Masai is out, I literally said the opposite. I literally just said the opposite. I think he is here to stay as long as he wants. But the second he's out, they're changing that organization. Now, to Coach's point, you don't want a coach necessarily having the ultimate say, but you do want them to have some sort of input. Because if you trust the coach's system, right? If you trust the coach's system, if you've hired the right coach, in theory, you do want them to at least say, like, these are the types of things that I need. And then you're at least streamlining and haircutting one aspect of the decision-making process, regardless of whether it's basketball, soccer, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Good point, Coach.
No, I am not advocating for Darko to be a GM, please. I'm not. I'm not even sure Bobby Webster's a GM right now, but anyway, go ahead.
Stan Van Gundy, like I said, is you don't want the coach versus the coach GM. They're fighting all the time internally. It's a man that does not sleep well. Beyond.
I just want to go back to the point of like the role of what the new president may be in the comments made by Pelly. This is something the MLSE has been trying to, I guess, initiate for years now. And it came out a few times discussing it with Shanahan to a lesser extent, but definitely with Sai, of looking for someone to be more of an ambassadorship role and be more on the business side of the organization and less on the actual operation side of things. Masai's a basketball guy. He wants to be in the thick of it. He doesn't really want to be out there glad handing and stuff like that and talking to sponsors and stuff. He don't want to be doing that type of stuff, right? The MLSE has been trying to get, quite honestly, all their presidents in this case to be more of that, but they have guys in this case that come up through the system as hockey guys, as basketball guys, as soccer guys, and I think now they're looking at. I would not be surprised if you find that the new person that comes in, which will be having less power, will be more of just a business type of CEO type of guy, and it's gonna have nothing like that. You're not gonna get like say Steve Nash showing up here next week. I don't think so. I think it's gonna be a CEO of some suit from Bay Street, and we wonder who the hell's this? And he's just gonna be finding ways to try to make more money for each franchise. That's it.
Yes. So it's more like the roles are getting more refined. Like ignore the basketball for a second if it makes it easier for people to conceptualize. Like outside of that for now, let's leave that. Every other role, like these specific roles are gonna, as you said, are gonna get refined. So if you're in the C-suite, like the true C-suite, you're a president of whatever, of hockey or soccer, it means that you are not going to be focused on anything other than you are making money in ticket sales. That could include community engagement, but it's probably going to be less of the community engagement piece.
They'll be at conferences. They'll be smoozing with sponsors. They'll be trying to find partnerships, things of that nature.
So, sorry to interrupt. Someone has dishes in the background. So if you have dishes in the background, mute yourself, please. Continue.
Yeah. So that's what they're looking at. And I think I would say also too that the Raptors, in the Raptors situation, if that does happen, I hope that they're actually looking for a new GM, because I would be very concerned about Bobby Webster having that much power.
Well, yeah, because that's the interesting thing is that like when Masai goes, do they trust Bobby, and has Bobby made a case for himself, or vice versa? So I think that's definitely interesting. You know, and yes, yeah, actually, this is a very important thing. Right now, as we're looking at it, again, it's a results-oriented business. Wins matter, and also butts and seats matter. The thing that's important here is, you know, ticket sales. We actually have talked to people that go to games, and they did not go to games this year. They were like, I'm gonna save my money and I'm gonna go home.
I went to one, and I've been to better high school games.
Oh, you went to Well,
You went to that Brooklyn game.
Yeah, you went to the Brooklyn game.
Poor coach went to a game with his RJ Barrett jersey and he didn't even play.
Yeah, that's right. Pirtle didn't play either.
No,
it was Scotty back off an injury, and quite frankly, he shouldn't have been playing because he could hardly move or do lateral.
Dayron Sharp giving him the business in that game. Was that the game?
Oh, but the whole Brooklyn team was giving us the business.
Yeah.
Cam Johnson was.
Yeah. They were just killing us. Yeah.
That was a rough game.
A rough game to watch.
That's where we thought we had hope at that point for the lottery. It was looking good then. We were on the move. I remember Hopeful had that. There's a lockdown. That was the key game. And
I was like, pull the ripcord.
That was the one. And then
said, no.
Utility over the holidays were the 3 straight, record-breaking, moments of futility. It was feeling good.
Yes. Prospects suck. Well, you know what? If you actually have higher level prospects than just like the back of the half of the lottery and second rounders, they usually don't suck as much.
This is not the NHL, people. NBA prospects are valuable in the NBA. That's all.
Yeah, and especially from the salary cap standpoint, if you want to compete, whether it be with this or with Giannis or whatever, you really do need. Lottery luck helps, but again, like the 10th overall pick is better than the 25th or the 28th or the 30th. Malachi Flynn versus I don't know. There's a couple guys like maybe Ant and other guys who were in that draft. Halliburton, Maxey. So again, like I'm not gonna go like back and forth about each and every single point, but there's a case to be made, and to be fair, Sampson has also made this case as well that when you draft early, having draft picks. I'm not saying it's all about getting all the picks for the next decade, but at some point you see the results in terms of your pipeline. If you completely ignore your pipeline, you are going to get the result that we have had for a long time, where you just do not have great benches. You have a lot of the bench ending up not in the NBA, to be honest. I'm sure Matt Stevens, you were probably someone that was arguing in favor of Flynn a couple of years ago. Where's Flynn now?
But Masai, I'll give him credit. He's hit more than he's missed in the draft, at least with the Raptors anyway. I mean, it's not easy to find Pascal Siakam at 27 or OG at 21. Now, OG fell in that draft a little bit. And Grady fell them at 13. But Koloko at 32, you can make an argument maybe Koloko fell. That's why I'm not trying to change the subject here, but this draft will be interesting to see what he'll do with that pick or where they think he'll go.
Well, and if you're going to go for Giannis, ideally, you might want to keep one of those draft picks to stay cheap, allow people to develop, et cetera, because you can't have an aging team with one superstar who is in his prime, but he's going to need help. It's not a one-man sport. You want guys. Brandon Ingram and Giannis is a very interesting tandem, but you need enough to kind of continue to kind of make it go. And the reason why I think it's most interesting, it's probably different than the other guys in the chat. I think it's interesting because I think you have more than just the window that you think you do. Because say you have a Grady and Jacoby. In 3 years, you're going to have to, within the 3-year period, you're going to have to pay both of them at some level, higher than their rookie scale. Well, within that period, there's 2 guys that are coming off their deals. And if you're in a situation where they're winning, they might take a little bit of a haircut for longer term security. Any of you guys want to chime in on that before we continue on?
I'll just say the best case scenario would be, in my mind, is like if one of those guys were to pop, and say somehow say somehow you're able to retain the ninth pick this year. So I would put that 9th pick plus one of those 2 guys. If one of the 3 of them were able to pop, and then say Brandon Ingram's coming up for his contract, and he's like, "Hey, you can stay, you can go. We have our future here," and it extends out much further than you expected because now you have a young budding star and still have Giannis in the tail end of his prime. I was like, that would be the best case scenario. Hey, Ingram wants to come along, great. If he doesn't, so be it.
Yeah, I think that right now there's Masai's in a situation, this is how I read the tea leaves for the Ingram deal. He's both impatient, but also he wants to create that resume to keep the cushy job, which I don't blame. I'd like $15 million a year too. I don't see anyone saying no. I mean, if you would, yeah, can I have that? Can I have me some of that job, please, sir? So,
Now,
yeah.
I will say one thing that's in Masai's favor a bit more of like, I mean, because for the pro staying, Masai staying, or at least really on that debate side, because I think more the other way. But to your point, if he stays, he has an advantage in this case, probably more so than what Shanahan would have had. The guys that are right now running things, they don't really have a lot of connections in the NBA. Tannenbaum's going to be out any day now. Masai essentially is the gateway to the NBA. With all due respect, all the Leaf fans out there, sorry to say that the money maker in this enterprise is the Raptors. Okay, that's the money maker. They're in the bigger league. They're in a league that makes $7.6 billion in a decade. It's the second most, I guess, profitable sport or league in the world behind the NFL. It could go second or third depending how IPL is doing that year, because they go back and forth between the NBA and IPL. IPL is the big Indian cricket league. Anyways, more money. And the point is that Masai has the connections in the NBA. And I think that's something that you don't want to lose out on, because right now, if that's my biggest concern from that standpoint of keeping someone at Masai, is that if he goes, the knowledge base for the Raptors, it get, as far as, and we've seen it for some of us that have been here from the early days, it ain't pretty when we don't have no one that has any connections in the league. It can get ugly very quickly.
Yeah, there's a lot of talk here about spacing issues. When you put Jakob Poeltl and Scotty Barnes together, that's a problem. So I ain't worried about Giannis coming over here if Scotty Barnes goes. Like it's going to be a spacing issue no matter what you do with that trade if Jakob Poeltl's still around. So it is what it is. You go get Giannis if you have a chance to go get Giannis.
Yeah. So I think the Giannis thing is interesting. Just to address the earlier thing of we have no chance of getting Giannis or whatever. The Giannis thing is interesting because, number one, if he wants to win and he's serious about winning, which he has stated multiple times, I think he's a person who I don't think that you could say he doesn't have integrity. I think when he speaks, he really means what he says. And so if he's serious about winning, he's going to want to stay in the East based on, especially for the next year at bare minimum.
Especially next year, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think that the East is as weak as people say, but I think for next year, there's a window that if you're the right team and you put together a team quickly enough, you can be right there in the mix. And if the team is put together, you can be right there in the mix for a couple years, at least in the mix. Whatever that means, however it goes. Yeah. Coach, your thoughts?
It's interesting whether it's Scotty here or it's Giannis here. The key in all this is still Brandon Ingram, because if he's not healthy, none of this happens. Even with Giannis, with Giannis, maybe you're a top 6, top 7 team. If Scotty's here, you have a chance to maybe be a top 7, 8 team, possibly. That's best case scenario. So Ingram is still the key in all this, in his health, because that's the problem that you're going to have in this season.
Okay,
Oh my
I
God.
just want to follow what you said there. Are you saying that you're saying this thing?
Sorry.
If Giannis were to play here, and assuming Scotty's gone, that you think this team would still be a top 7 team at best?
It's to do with Ingram.
Well, I think
Ingram's
Giannis
health.
could drag us for some wins, even if Ingram's hurt. I don't think it could work the other way if we keep status quo.
I agree with that.
Yeah. That's the reason why I'm so. This is why I keep on going back to young guys, man. I think people are losing sight of this. One of those young guys need a pop for that very reason you mentioned, Coach.
Yeah.
Because if Ingram does what Ingrams tend to do in his closest career, which is, sorry for all the Ingram fans out there, but it's the numbers, look pretty out there a couple months ago. It's not pretty. So I think in this case, you need one of those guys to pop as an insurance. So we'll see.
Yeah, the Giannis thing is interesting in that, last year they won 48 games. The Bucks won 48 games, and they really couldn't defend at all. And if he's coming here, if that can't be the only move. There has to be an additional move to help the defense. Because if you bring Giannis here at this age and expecting him to be the defensive player he was 3 years ago, you're asking for trouble. because he couldn't carry the Bucks defensively, and you saw what happened to them throughout the regular season and playoffs. And so you got to be careful if you're going to make that trade. You have to have a follow-up to get some defensive help, because this team, I don't care what the last half of the season was, I believe they're the team in December and January that was the worst defense in the league. So they're going to have to work that out, because you can't have three guards that can't defend playing with Giannis, and you can have Jakob Poeltl playing with Giannis. And so there's more to be done other than just trading for Giannis.
So Hofar, are we going to discuss this Giannis stuff for real now, or what?
Yeah. Let's get into it, because this is why I have this on.
This is the main event now, or what?
Yes, this is why I have this on.
Folks ain't coming to see org charts, man.
Yeah, no, I do what I can. if people are interested. Listen, Giannis is like that level of a player. Now the question is, are we a contender? Like even after the trade? I mean, I think Keenan said it, and other people have said it. It's a multi-trade thing. You're not just trading for. It's very rare for you to just trade for one guy and it just all clicks, right? Like the Kawhi trade worked in a different way, and even then, you still had to trade for Marc Gasol. I keep trying to remind people of this. It wasn't. It was the backline thing. So also, just for people to chat, if I bring up your stuff and you respond, I'm just gonna get to it slower, just because I'm not gonna go like, disjointed. And so that's the first thing. Were the Bucks this year better than what the Raptors could be if they traded for Giannis? I don't know, because what is the secondary move?
Right.
I think if you're asking me to compare Brandon Ingram and Kuzma, I think the answer is pretty obvious that it is in favor of Brandon Ingram.
Yeah, no, the secondary move has to be Poeltl. You can't. You have 7 years of data with him and Brook Lopez.
Yes,
someone who's a spacing big man, and you've basically been a 50 to 55 win plus team except for this year.
Yeah,
like you have to get a spacing big man. It would. I don't see how it would work for Poeltl.
Unless they draft one.
Yeah.
Go get
You're looking to compete though. That's a lot to put on that center.
It is. Although it would be less if you're, depending on if you're having Giannis play off the not Giannis play off the bench, but if that center is playing off the bench or not.
Exactly. That's one thing, right? You split time with Poeltl. Yeah. That's what I'm thinking. That you could gradually get to that point. And Poeltl then ends up being 1 year left in his contract, makes him either trade the following year.
Yes.
So that's what I mean. The Raptors roster right now is kind of a mess, and so even with the Giannis trade, like there's still lots of things that would need to be done to make this team a legit contender. Yes, will they win games? Yes, but are they a legit contender with as currently constructed after the Giannis trade? I don't think so.
No lies told there, man.
Yes. Well, and the funny thing is the thing that I just put on the screen. Mouth of the North said it earlier to me, but it's true. It's a 30-win team, okay, and Ingram has not played. Last time I checked, how many games? Like me and Ingram played the same amount of games for the Toronto Raptors last year. Okay,
this man was having injections in his feet at the end of the season.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, like I'm not going to go through whether the injections are this, that. We could have that on another show. I've talked about it before, but I think the interesting thing with it is Ingram is a complete unknown right now.
Yes.
But if the rumors are true, and if I don't know, if Ingram is interesting, because if you trade for Giannis, you have a co-star there that is I think well, I'm not all disrespect out the window. Okay, he's your best offensive player right now today, hypothetically, if he's healthy.
There's no doubt. Yeah,
without a doubt. Yeah.
Yeah. So now again, do you have to make subsequent moves? Absolutely. This is not a one move thing. But yeah, I don't think we have 2 years. I'm just going to tell you that right now.
My side doesn't have 2 years. I got.
we just in general, like we don't have two. If we were going down this road, Blackhawk, we wouldn't have traded for Brandon Ingram.
Correct.
With that, to be perfectly honest, I was fine stockpiling, waiting, and making a move like that before. We made a different decision I didn't make the decision. Masai made the decision. And so that in and of itself is speeding things up. And even Keith Pelly talked about this, is that he's like, they're on their way and it's a results oriented league, blah, 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 blah. Like there is pressure for them to make strides forward, not just tippy toe, not just a little bit better, not just 2 wins better, but how do you get not just to 500, which would be an improvement. It'd be like over it, like what, a 10-game improvement, a little bit over 10-game improvement to get to 500, but that's still a significant improvement. And so how do you get there? And so
Question.
Yeah.
I think this is kind of on Keith Pelly too, because he's coming in. I think he wants to have a legacy, and that legacy, I think, in due part, is with the Leafs mainly to get them their Stanley Cups in '67.
Yeah,
but
oh,
of
man, he
course,
talks about
the
the
deal
Leafs
with the
all the
Raptors,
time.
you got TFC. So it's like, no, we want championship caliber teams here, and this league moves fast. I know Beyond has said it. It's like what you plan to do in 3 to 5 years, you might not have that much time. College basketball, you can afford to have that. You can build a program in 3 to 5 years. In the NBA, it's like you could be 2 to 3 years, or you're stuck like Sacramento for 20 years. They had one good year. That was last year. No, I'm talking about the year that just went by, the year before that. And that was it. Now they're back in no direction. Nothing.
The other thing, too, that I think from a standpoint, and maybe it's not so much Pelly, but I think it's more to do with the executives, is that before my man from Los Angeles, like Wiki, came, no one saw the potential of the Raptors. Now, if you're a Hoops fan, you follow the NBA, you just know, like, dude, this is the group that's going to make you the money. I mean, heck, it's all over the globe in this case. It's the second most popular sport in the world. But it's like they were still kind of living. It's like it's 1963. It's like, dude, guys, get with the times. Like Wiki did ruffle some feathers from the culture standpoint, MLSE, including who owns the team now. But I think when they saw, like, oh damn, we can make this much money from this team. That's what all they're about. It's like, wait, one second, we get these separate ratings. We can sell this much jerseys. Oh, we selling jerseys in China for this guy? Are you serious? It's like all of a sudden they realize, like, whoa, hold on a second. We can't just let this slide like how we used to let it slide now, because now it's like realize like we can see the full potential of what this could be. So Pelly's in there saying, like, yo, he's got mandate. We want to get this back to where it was before, fellas. Not even necessarily win a championship, but this team better be able to put butts in seats, get me some ratings, and sell some paraphernalia. Okay, and get back to making some money for us. And I think that's also what's driving some of these changes, man. The Leafs, they're going to be good.
Yeah, I also don't think they want fans throwing jerseys on the ice and booing the team. So, yeah,
No.
like I don't think Pelly wants to see that in Raptorland. So
or batteries, to reference a certain certain American teams.
I mean, for those who don't know,
or bottles.
So for those who are just basketball fans, the last 5 minutes of that Leafs game when they lost to Florida, they were throwing beer on the ice. They were throwing hats on the ice. They were throwing jerseys on the ice. And they were booing the hell out of the Leafs. And let me tell you something. Pelly don't want that for the Raptors. So he needs results and he needs them now.
Like the good old days of Maple Leaf Gardens in the 80s, man. Come on there, Mouth.
No doubt.
Arrow Bell.
The worst part is they did a salute after the game and they booed him even more. It's like, geez, guys, read the room.
That was rough.
So I just want to get to this. We actually haven't forgotten it. We didn't talk about it, funny enough. He was part of, I believe, Live Golf. Was it Live Golf? Or
yeah, he's also part of TSN.
TSN as well. So so that's something that
that's to my point though.
Yeah,
he's up with ratings. He's looking to make money.
At the end of the day, this league doesn't work unless you're making money.
No. And of course, you're the new guy. You're trying to establish something. You want to leave your mark doing something. He wants to try to be Dr. Buss of like MLSE and Rogers, I guess, to a degree now.
And so I'm just going to get to this real quick. Again, I'm not saying that they have to do the deal. I'm saying why the deal would make sense if they go for it. There's a difference. I don't know how else to explain that. But it's not me saying they have. Now, if it was me, I would do the deal for a different reason, but mainly because you just went and got Brandon Ingram. If they didn't go get Brandon Ingram, different story. I agree with this. I've said this again and again and again, and For whatever reason, I have to repeat myself, but and I think everyone else here seems to feel the same, that they were all comfortable, as far as I'm concerned, waiting and being patient and all this type of stuff. What I heard initially is that it's a 1 to 3 year, sorry, not even 1, 2 to 3 year rebuild. Those were the words. And then we see Brandon Ingram show up in street clothes, of course, but he showed up.
And they paid him without playing a game.
Fair enough.
Well, hopefully there's one move before that China showed their hand. When they traded OG, they could go
the OG move, and as well as the Kelly Olynyk, getting Kelly Olynyk to try to. But part of that, they're always trying to do two things at once. They were trying to lose their pick, right? So they're either trying to lose their pick or keep their pick, and it seemed like for a while they were trying to keep the pick and get as close to the play-in as possible, and the team just wasn't good enough, and they kept having injuries and kept having challenges, and they just couldn't get there. But yeah, so I like, my thing is just like, I don't want to just keep like repeating the same type of thing. But
regardless, though, the expectations are going to be different next year, whether Giannis is here or not, or if it's Ingram and Scotty, Ingram, RJ, whatever it is. Like, the expectations are more next year. You don't bring in Ingram to finish 12th in the East. You definitely don't bring in Giannis in to finish 8th in the East or 9th in the East. Expectations will change.
Yeah. So regarding this, can I just comment on this?
Yeah, you go for it.
The reason why I understand that's the reason. They could have got this in the draft. They didn't have to trade for Brandon Ingram. They could have tanked like they were doing in December before Boucher went on this pizza run. Okay, and they could have tanked and gotten this player in the draft. They could have gotten VJ Edgecombe. They could have got Dylan Harper. They could have got Ace Bailey or even Cooper Flag, and they wouldn't have needed to trade for Brandon Ingram. But they traded for Brandon Ingram because they were panicking. Messiah's 1 year left in the deal, and they had to make a move to get better now. Now, I wouldn't have done it. Nobody else would have done it. But because of that win streak and the subsequent, the subsequent ownership change and Messiah's contract, this was a desperation move. They got rid of some guys that they weren't going to keep, and they traded a first-round pick. None of us would have done this.
The other thing, too, is we have to remember one thing that's really important. Brandon Ingram not only was signed and obtained, but he also said a very key thing. These guys told me that they're going to make me an all-star. If he's going to become an all-star, you have to be a winning team, which means that there's probably going to be less development in one way, shape, or form. And so at the end of the day, like, again, I agree with all that you're saying. I've not disagreed with that. Welcome to Basketball Rewind. However, what I am saying is that at the end of the day, they made a decision. So I think it's, what is it, at info@masai.mlsc.com or whatever. Feel free to email him there.
Hey,
take up your complaint there. I can't help you.
I just hope the Blue Jays will continue to help Brandon Ingram next year too, as he makes his push for the All-Star game.
I hope so too. That'd be great.
Unlike RJ,
they do a good job, to be honest.
The Blue Jays supported RJ. The Raptors didn't. I'll never let that down because I'm kind of crusty that way.
But by the way, the Tempo actually did get a new. They got a new social media manager. So that happened today. So shout out to the Tempo as well. Hopefully they won't mess up MLK Day in the future, and I'll just leave it at that.
Shout out to the New York Liberty representing New York, like absolutely murdering teams in the WNBA. By the way, my God.
Yeah. Yes.
You find that always happens.
Just to kind of complete the Giannis thing. So yeah, I think that the reason to get Giannis is obviously if you're serious about getting results, getting jersey sales, and continuing to move the team forward. Obviously, it's not the only thing that's going to be done. Then yes, you go get Giannis. If you don't believe so, you don't get Giannis. And it's really, it comes down to as simple as that. Yeah, this is it. Thank you for tuning in.
Yeah. I mean, this show, and I've been on this show before, guys. We've been saying this for months. We did a live right after the Ingram trade. I said the trade made no sense, considering they're supposed to be in a rebuild. But as John pointed out to me privately, I said this long before the season started that when you trade for Brennan, when you trade for RJ and IQ and pay them, you're not rebuilding. So
that's what I'm saying. That's the part no one's really talking about. This team's like 200 million in the hole. That's not a team that's looking to rebuild. Okay. Okay. And just gave 40 million to Brandon Ingram. That's not a rebuilding team, guys. Okay. You got retooling, revamping, whatever you want about, but it ain't rebuilding. I tell you that much. Rebuildings be cheap.
Okay. It's a 30-win team that's up against the cap.
Yeah, you're not usually paying rebuilding teams 180 million and being close to the tax line.
Yeah, and you also have the luxury of the expectations of we're cheap and we suck, but this team is we suck and we're not cheap.
Nope.
That was the season anyway.
For context, guys, the Oklahoma City Thunder, who are in the NBA Finals right now, are the 6th lowest payroll in the NBA. Just think about that. Just think about that. So for those who don't want to wait for the lottery and build through the draft, look at OKC and tell me that's not the right thing to do.
Let me ask you guys this, man. I guess I'm not sure, hopeful may want to move to the next subject or not, but just to, I guess maybe I'll throw this out here maybe as a summary. What's y'all best package that you're offering Milwaukee that you think could get maybe close to deal?
Oh, yeah, because this is interesting because a lot of people have already kind of jumped and said you can't get him without this or put out packages. Let's put out a package, I think. So I think
like
that there's
100%.
Yeah, I think there's 3 packages that kind of like get you in the mix. But I'll first start off by saying you are not getting Giannis without Scotty Barnes being part of the package. If he's not part of the package, then
you're not getting it.
There's nothing to talk about. So if that is not something that Masai is serious about giving up, hang up the phone, done, no Giannis. Doesn't matter how much Giannis wants to be here. It just, the money works, a whole bunch of stuff. And also from a new ownership standpoint, from the Bucks standpoint, they actually want to, well, guess what? Put butts in seats, which goes back to the low season ticket holder standpoint. So again, there's that. Before I get to my package, I'll go around the room. You guys give your best package. You guys already know my package. And then, we'll go from there.
Go, Mouth.
So I liked Kenyon's package a lot, but what I would do is, and Kenyon, you'll have to help me if the money works. I would do RJ and Scotty with a combination of either Ochai, Mogbo, and if I can, and it won't work, but I'd love to get Pirtle in the trade as well somehow because I don't want him on the team if we're getting honest.
It's really hard to put all 3.
Right, Kenyon told me it probably won't work. But if there's a way to get Pirtle in the deal, I would do it instead of RJ. But yes, it has to be RJ, and for many reasons. The Raptors are already guard heavy as it is. You've got Grady and Walter there. I think RJ is surplus to requirements for those soccer fans out there. And he's not going to re-sign with the team. The team has made it clear they're looking to trade him, and he's not going to be staying here for long. And so why keep him around and punish him like that? I mean, he's got to watch Grady and Gillette commercials all the time. It's not fair. So like let's let RJ leave and go to Milwaukee and join his boy Gary Trent. I would.
To be fair, I think Gary was on a 1-year deal, so Gary might not be there no more.
We'll see if that 36 in the playoffs gets him a job. But I would put Mogul in the deal instead of Ochai because Ochai's slightly better. If they want Ochai, see you later. If they want Grady in the deal, I don't want to give up Grady. But if you have to give up Grady and you are confident that Walter can be the guy, then you do it.
So
but
your pick is so your package is without Grady, basically, right?
Correct. And I'd rather give up picks. Like I'll give up 3 picks if I have to. I'd rather give up more picks than give up Grady if that's possible.
Okay. Beyond.
I'm taking the opposite tack in this case here. You sold me. I'm going to take a combination of what I've had before, but what you've done as well too, and a bit of what Mouth just mentioned, which is I'm going to start with the framework of Scotty and RJ going out the door, and then I'm going to add Grady to the package, and hopefully that means I don't have to give as many draft picks away.
Okay.
So there's 3 reasons why I would make this move in this case here. There probably have to be some draft pick. I don't know. You're throwing 1 or so maybe, probably because I'm giving Scotty, RJ, and Grady. And maybe I won the draft picks. Hopefully not this year's draft pick. Maybe it's like 2 years from now at 27. And the reason why I like that deal, hey, you know me, I like my man. White Clay's my boy. All right, but I'm just gonna say it straight. If I'm looking to clean up books, that sorts out with Scotty and RJ. I get to clean up books. If I'm looking in this case to clean up the defensive issues in this team, sorry, RJ, you got to go. And I love you, Grady, but if you got to go, if you're a young player, you got to go too in this case here. Because if I'm looking to be winning time now, I can't wait around for you to figure out how to play defense. It's winning time now. So you're out the door too. And the third thing is, if I can hold back a way of keeping some of my draft repository at least a little drier by throwing in one other young player, that's the reason why I like that deal. And that there from the Milwaukee perspective gives them young talent, a youngish talent, and some guys you could potentially sell on the billboard, and that's a starting place for them. So,
okay,
let
Coach.
me just add, Kenyon, before Coach goes, just one more thing. If you're going to get Giannis, you're going to have 3-point shooting. So keep that in mind when you're making this deal, because if you have Giannis, you're going to need 3-point shooting or surrounding Giannis to win with him. So go ahead, Coach.
So my deal, you guys know, and I've kind of said it on some space, it was the same deal that Will Lou and Alex Wong had, I think. The best deal that you could possibly offer them. And I'm just thinking from Milwaukee's perspective, what do I want as John Hurst, I think is his name, GM of the Bucks? Obviously, Scotty's going to be part of the deal. If I'm trading a top 3 player in the world, you have to include your best player, who is 30 years old in the middle of his prime. I also want Grady Dick if I'm trading Giannis as well. Grady Dick's from Kansas, the Midwest guy. You can sell that in Milwaukee. It's also a Midwest state. I'm also getting, one of the best young shooters potentially coming back. And Ochai is kind of there for salary reasons as well, but Ochai's money, but Ochai's value, I would say right now, has gone up compared to what it was last year. He had a pretty good year for the Raptors. He had his best year, I would say. I think shot over 40% from 3. The defense at times was pretty good. He really made some big gains. So that's something where you're selling on his value. And I'm probably giving up 2 to 3 firsts. I don't want to give up 4 or 5 like the Knicks did. I mean, you're getting 5 years of Scotty's new contract. You're getting Grady for another 2 years, I think, before his extension comes up. And I think Ochai's up at the end of this year for his extension. So I think it's a pretty compelling offer from a pick equity standpoint. The picks will not be like other teams, what Houston could offer, what the Spurs could offer. But I think in terms of player equity, we're right there with them. I'm just thinking if I'm the Milwaukee Bucks, that's what I want. I want Scotty and Grady, and I can move forward a little bit with our team.
Just to, I guess, a point of privilege here to rebut my man Mouth a little bit on the 3-point shooting. I get it. Grady can shoot threes. No two ways about it. But there's other guys on this team that will still be here that can shoot threes quite well. And by addition, by subtraction, by moving Scotty, who's like a 29% 3-point shooter, I have already lifted the boats in this case on how good the 3-point shooting would be around there. And RJ, who's streaky from 3. So I now have Brandon Ingram, who's a pretty solid 3-point shooter. I would have him quickly, whatever I want to say. I like to tease quickly as being the next Las Vegas Spade. But let me tell you this much in this case here. One thing he's been good with, he's been a very good shooter from deep throughout his Raptor career and previously. Last year he shot 40% from 3. So I can't take that from him. He'll still do that. He'll have way more space with Giannis on the floor. Jacoby started to improve his 3-point shooting late in the season last year. I expect that to continue to get better. And even my man there from Houston, Shed, started showing some signs in this case, like knocking down the 3 a little bit. So there's 3-point shooting still available, and you got Battle and guys like that. So there's guys like Battle, guys like Battle live for a guy like Giannis. Lord, like Battle's gonna name his children after Giannis if he comes here, man. But guys like Battle literally have a career for guys like Giannis and LeBron. They love guys like that.
Oh, that's what I mean. That's
Miller, man. The other thing I was going to say is just in Beyond's deal, you didn't toss in Ochai. So if Ochai stays, he too has shown that.
Yep.
I mean, he's not. I don't think that he can shoot threes in the same way that Grady can shoot threes. He's not the same type of shooters as Grady, but he shoots threes. So I'm not Battle as a standstill, stand in the corner. You're doing spot up stuff. He can shoot threes as well. Like honestly, with the best of them, in my opinion. So
they picked my man Carter Bryant, man. We good.
The other reason why it might be a bit of addition by subtraction in that case is because you're getting rid of probably the 2 worst perimeter defenders.
Yeah,
Yes.
you have to do that if you're getting Giannis.
That's my plan. That's
Right.
my biggest reason why I wanted to put both of them in there.
Right. And so I think Grady can become a average to maybe a slight above average defender. We'll see what that looks like this year, more than likely, because I don't think we're going to get Giannis. But you got to still have a little bit of fun here and there. But if it doesn't happen this year, I don't know if I ever see it happening. I think that he needs to improve in that area, among other things as well. But that's a very key thing. So yeah, if we are gonna the other thing too, and some people are actually getting to this, if you put that much stuff in the trade packages, I think you can get away with not maybe you also add the pick from this year and then nothing else, but I think the point is the more young players and the more established players that you're adding for Milwaukee, I think the less likely it is that they're going to have to ask you for more picks, because at the end of the day, Milwaukee's not looking to be bad. They have no control over their future, and that's a key factor. Unless they have control of their future, which is hard to get. There's no one team that has a whole bunch of Milwaukee picks just stashed away, getting ready to go. Even Golden, sorry, not Golden State. Even OKC doesn't have a whole bunch of that stuff.
Pelicans have their pick too.
Pelicans, and I think Portland has a couple of swaps. There's a lot of swap rights that they have that are floating around. So I just don't quite see it in terms of like them wanting like a whole bunch of picks, because at the end of the day, they're wanting people that will, especially with a new ownership group. You talk about our ownership group, they're a brand new spanking ownership group, and they want to put budgets, and so they want guys that they can sell. I think RJ alone is obviously not going to sell seats in Milwaukee. But if you have RJ and Scotty and maybe a number 9 pick, maybe that is it. I think the key thing is the more young players, the less picks, because you look at the Brooklyn picks. Brooklyn's picks are all over the place. They're not that great of picks. They're really not. A bunch of New York picks with how they are. I mean, people can dunk all over they want on New York. New York's going to be a good team next year. So, like, what does Brooklyn really have to offer from a pick standpoint? If you're looking at the player standpoint for Brooklyn, ugh.
No,
I mean,
it's not.
Cam Johnson for Giannis? Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
We have to be somewhat serious.
Can Detroit do this?
I see him smiling there.
Detroit can. Yes, yes. The short answer.
Detroit? Oh, come on now.
Detroit can make a move if they want to make a move. Will Giannis agree to go to Detroit is a different story. And I'll leave it at that. That's all.
We'll see if Kate would talk to him a little bit,
man. In the East, that could make a play probably better than us in player equity standpoint is Boston. They'd have to trade Jaylen Brown.
Yeah.
If they could.
Now,
they could.
Just in terms of this, it's not just that, but also I have heard previously before that person that Giannis does have certain business holdings down in New York. I'm not giving it that much credit. I'm not like honing in and focusing on the Nets. So yeah. Again, Atlanta's the interesting thing because there is, as Will pointed out, because the key thing there is that Will, how do I put this? They don't have a GM. They're in the search for the GM, and we've heard Masai being linked there, but also we've heard Giannis's agent being linked there. And if Giannis's agent goes there, now things get a little bit interesting. But also, I'm just reading the tea leaves. I think that there's other reporting beyond the Scoop B guy or whatever. I'm not really focusing on that like reporting per se. I'm more so focusing on all the things in totality. What would make sense for Giannis? Why would he want to be here? Or so. I don't think that Turner is going to actually be leaving because their management just said that they're going to go into the tax to keep this team together.
First time.
So Turner's now the happiest man in on the Pacers because he getting paid.
They got young players. They got their franchise guy, couple franchise. If you want to put Pascal and Halliburton like kind of together in that, young players, good coach, Carlisle.
The other thing too is here. This is interesting. Jaylen Brown is also he just had a meniscus tear. I want to see how he recovers from that. I have no idea what Boston's going to do next year.
Boston is going to trade somebody. That's
They
gonna,
yes they are they have a payroll of $500 million,
Oh,
whether
and
it be Derek White or Zingis, someone's getting traded from
they
that team this year.
they also don't
Yeah.
own their own infrastructure, so they don't have an arena. So when there's no basketball, they don't make any money.
Yeah.
Um, they are planning on building a new arena, but yeah. Yeah, there's other trades that they can make. So I do think that there are yeah. Derek White is someone that they have explicitly stated that they do not want to trade beyond him and Jason Tatum. So
I think it's Holiday and Porzingis will be the likely ones. So
Wait.
that's
Superstar Derek White, they gave you about 2 for 12 in the elimination
Yeah,
game. They don't want to trade.
listen.
God love it.
That's the reporting. The reporting is the reporting. So
I need his publicist, please.
Giannis John starched himself, man.
Yeah, I need his publicist, man. I tell you, man.
Now, before we move along to some other topic, I'll just say this. I don't think, based on the packages, that you're gutting the team. This whole gutting the team, I
no.
don't see this as gutting the team. Again,
no.
this is a 30-win team, first of all. Second of all, I think if you're getting Giannis for, essentially my package is more so focused on you give more picks, but you retain some stuff. But it's mainly going to be centered around Scotty and RJ Barrett, and you give like three first round picks, no protections, boom, done, get it out. Some people don't want that. Some people think that that's too many picks. But I think the whole point is I'm trying to keep as I would not give the number 9 pick. That's the only thing. But I think the key thing in my package, and if you don't like the package, fair enough. Number 1, the money works. Number 2, I don't have to take on like Kuzma or some crazy nonsense. Well, I am interested in hearing your So, yeah,
That's too much.
yeah.
I don't think you need to have that many draft picks, to be honest with you.
I think you can cut out one of the draft picks, but hey. But I think the ultimate okay. This is the last. I'm gonna ignore after this because now you're repeating yourself. When you start repeating yourself, it's just a waste of my time. So just in terms of my thing, I think the whole point is this: you need to find a way to. I think you can put together a competitive offer, and you don't need to put as many picks. But you're going to give up some prospects. I think to make the secondary moves, you're going to want to retain some of these guys as salary fodder to be able to make the secondary, tertiary moves, just from a salary standpoint. So that's kind of where I'm kind of focused on is, that's it. Also, to be fair, if the Bucks GM can do whatever the hell he wants to do, but Giannis is going to have a say. And how these deals work is usually a guy like Giannis at that stature is not going to go to a team that is gutted.
No.
He's not. So
he's going to pick where he wants to go.
He's going to pick where he wants to go. And if he wants to go to Toronto, I don't know him personally, so I can't ask him. But if he wants to go to Toronto, he will go to Toronto. And if he wants to go to Toronto, yes, Scotty Barnes is going to be part of the deal, but they're not going to have 0 people left. And I think that's as simple as that, just to keep it simple, stupid.
Question for you all, though. Yeah. Is there any way, shape, or form, like give me another deal that doesn't include Scotty, that they might be able to say, maybe we could work
there
with
is
something?
none.
I don't know if there is.
There's none. I'm not going to even waste time entertaining it.
Yeah, there's none.
Now, if in terms of like us, do we have the best deal out of all teams? No. But again, does Giannis want to win? And if he wants to win, it's best chances in the East. Versus, does he want? I don't think he's there for the women because he seems like a very committed husband. So I think that takes out South Beach, right? You're more so looking at Houston. Houston probably has the best offer. Houston has the best combination of picks and everything. San Antonio, I don't think that their picks / player options match it. However, again, does he want to be in there, and is he willing to wait for Wemby? I mean, Wemby's really good, but Wemby's still never been to the playoffs. Or does he want to kind of go for it now? And that's really
that's a gauntlet in the West.
It is a gauntlet too,
right? Like people act like we're playing 2K. Just think logically, right?
Yeah.
Why would I want to go somewhere to make my life more difficult when I can stay where I am in this case here, where it's pretty much like it's just fodder for me to go and just take over the entire East?
Yeah.
And there's no question about it. He is the best player in the Eastern Conference. No one's
Probably,
thinking twice about it.
Yeah.
He is.
Yeah, I'd have to
Yeah.
like think about it,
Yeah.
but like more than
so
likely, yes. Like,
why am I going there for the next 8, maybe the next 7 best players are in the West? Because with Tatum out this year, you can't put him on the list. So literally the next 9 players in the top 10 are all sitting in the West. Why am I going out there, guys? Think this through. And the second thing for folks saying, "Oh, Toronto, you want to go to contender." There's something you guys keep always forgetting this thing, man. Come off the 2K, man. You guys keep forgetting this stuff, man. This is a people business, and not only the relationship is one thing with Masai, but players look for, in this case, which guys have gotten it done, which executives have got it done. You wonder why Jerry West is always in business when he was alive, because everyone knew you're with Jerry West, he gonna get it done. Even Pat Riley, as curmudgeon is now. And he had that enough to say, you know what? He's Pat Riley. He just dropped the rings on the table for you because he gets crap done. All right? Masai's gotten it done. You think he's going to put his hands in some rookie GM or president of basketball operations for X team and say, okay, I'll have the next 5 years of my career with Joe Blow? No, guys. Think this through. It's just common sense. He ain't doing that. Jeez, man, you guys make this thing so complicated. It ain't that complicated, man. Think of your own situation. If you know you have someone that's already done this before, has gotten the job done, you're not running out to go somewhere to go to get someone else. That's the reason why, in some sad way, poor Adrian Griffin got fired. And they got Doc. The Doc had gotten it done before. Now he obviously didn't watch the rest of the tape for the last 10 years, but Doc has done before. Poor Adrian Griffin didn't have a chance.
I'm wondering, is this Molly? Sorry, I'm just the way that they're typing.
I don't know what else to say about this. I mean,
they're typing like Molly.
I don't know what to say, man. Like, if you got your own neuroses when it comes to Toronto and this market, that's on you. All right.
I mean, at this point, if you don't like it, then it is what it is. If you don't think it's happening, like I've already said in this, it's like, yeah, it's probably not going to happen, but it might happen.
I don't understand these Toronto fans sometimes. They act in this case like the bloody Sacramento Kings. All right? If I was a Kings fan, and I'm going to go back for all you guys for a history lesson, and I was playing, and I was a Kings fan for when they were in Kansas City or Kansas City, Omaha, and then Sacramento, I can understand having a little bit like, oh, no one's ever going to come here before, when my best player ever was probably Reggie Theus. Yeah, I can understand that. Or maybe 5 years of Chris Webber. Yeah, I can see you feeling having a little bit of a complex. Dude, you're in one of the best cities in the North America, a top 4, top 5 market. The team is worth evaluation of the top 7 in the NBA for evaluations. I don't know how much more you can have it. I said the other day to someone, if you had to take the Knicks last 30 years and the Raptors last 30 years, whose 30 would you prefer to have? Knicks are a big market.
Raptors easy.
If you prefer to have the Clippers last 30 years, the Raptors last 30 years. The Clippers are a big market.
Same
Atlanta's
thing.
a top 10 market. You prefer Atlanta's top the last 30 years or the last 30 years? Like,
so this is interesting. Would the Pelicans give up both of their future pick swaps for the number 9 pick? That is interesting. That is interesting. I'll say it depends on
that might be more open after this weekend. That might be more.
That's not bad.
Be very diplomatic about it, but
I'll put it this way: they might be open
for
business.
Lawyer situation, and the lawyer situation will dictate whether or not this is a possibility.
I think they're open. They might be open for business. I'll just put it that way.
Joe Dumars is a new GM, just like how I talk about new ownerships, and so they want Jakob Poeltl. Well, come on down there, right?
Lakers also want him too.
Me, don't tempt me with a good time. You're telling me
right.
Trade Jakob Poeltl, who doesn't fit with Giannis. I can get the 2 pick swaps that Milwaukee has. Jeez, man. Yeah, I'm sorry. This may not be Molly. This might be someone with a half a mind. There we go. I like this. I'm talking,
Well,
man. This is actually has me.
I'd be calling the Lakers about Yak up and trying to get some of their young
To be
talent.
on, you're just cracking up.
Yeah,
The Lakers
know.
were
Yaku
just
package
looking for
would be.
centers all over.
I guess it'd be Rui would be involved. I guess.
Yeah, I think
Rui and
like
Dalton Connect.
Now you want Dalton Connect coming back in the deal.
Hey, they wanted to trade him to Charlotte, man. He doesn't want to
You know, I
be
love
there.
what Mount kills me,
don't
yo.
go
Mount
there.
would be
Don't-
hammering me every night when the Raptors play
About
his
defense.
defense. And yet, every dude he wants to pick up is a man can't play a lick of defense, can't guard his own shadow.
I know.
Except Khalil Ware. You were right. Khalil Ware was.
Yeah,
that is a rarity.
He's beyond it, right? We can't trade for Dalton Connect.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's get
But
worse.
Turtles does have to go.
Worse on defense, right?
Like I'd be calling every team that needs a center. Honestly, with the Turtles situation.
But then we'll need a center.
Too.
Yeah. All right. So, do you guys want to do a quick? Actually, I don't want to keep you guys too long. I'll maybe cover the finals in another day, so we'll skip that.
No,
we can talk about the finals a little bit.
No, but I feel bad. Like I'll keep you guys for too long, and all of a sudden it's like.
Oh, we get audience.
Okay, we've done worse in this case here. Okay.
Okay.
Over an hour.
Yeah, that's fair. Let's do a finals preview real quick. So first of all, who do you guys think is going to win the finals? Before we go to anything else.
Thunder.
OKC.
In how many games?
5.
6.
Coach?
OKC in 5, but I'm the biggest Pacers fan in this playoffs for them. But objectively speaking, I'm going OKC in 5.
Pacers in 7? No, I'm just kidding. I think it's OKC in 6. I think that the pace that they like to play at are I think that it matches the pace that they want to play at, but that doesn't mean that the Pacers don't have adjustments that they have to make. They have to change some of what they do. They have to shift more into a fast, rapid mismatch hunting style, and balance that with what they usually do. Because there are times when Halliburton needs to be a much better guard than he has been at this level now, and he won't have the height advantage against Shea.
Is Shea playing him? I don't think Shea's
no. But I'm saying like if he probably isn't guarding Shea, but if he ever got stuck on Shea, because that happens, right? Like there's going to be a possession. Like he doesn't have the same height advantage that he had over Brunson. Like there's times when he would get the odd block here and there, and it's like you don't have that advantage over OKC. That's
Coach's boy Dort is going to be giving Tyrese Halliburton nightmares from the first minute of the first quarter.
If Halliburton has
all up in his grill.
If Halliburton has a post-up game, then this makes this a much more interesting series.
Yeah, actually, that's a good
Because if he's able to go down there, because that's the thing that he didn't do last year, he didn't have. And part of it was due to injury, but if he's developed he did a bit in the New York series where if you got Brunson on him, he would take him down low a little bit and force a double that way. The other thing they have at their advantage, if I'm looking from an Indiana perspective, is everyone kind of chuckled watching First Take. It's the first time I watched these jokers. I mentioned to you. I haven't watched this since the Super Bowl. These jokers today, and you can tell when these guys have no clue about a player, they're out there going like, yeah, I mean, they made the point that you mentioned about, they're going to wear down Halliburton. Like, what they going to do if Halliburton get worn down? Because Pascal in this case here, he needs to get help from that. I was like, you all haven't watched like last 4 years of the Raptors, right? Good Lord, he was doing everything but making popcorn for the team. Like he'll be fine. He can run the offense if Halliburton is getting that much pressure. Never mind, they still have Nembhard. It's like, like this case, like it's like, oh my gosh, it's like, what will the Pacers do? they'll be okay.
Yeah, the one thing that's interesting though with Dort, and Minnesota was trying to do this in the playoffs. Randall tried to post him up, and he couldn't back him down because Dort is built like a linebacker in football. And Randall had to pull up for like a jump shot or take a step back jump shot. That's the only problem with Halliburton, even though he's taller than him, but Halliburton's like, 200 pounds, maybe?
But see, I'm looking at it from the standpoint, like if they put Dort and then probably at times Caruso and Halliburton, this is where the 2-man game with Siakam comes in. And I'll take my chances with Siakam in this case here dealing with, I know Caruso in this case is going to be a pretty tough cover, but I'll take my chance with him posting up Dort Raymond Caruso versus versus Halliburton trying to beat, say, Chet in this case here. That's what I would try to do in this case. I think the guy that no one's really talking about is the same guy someone mentioned earlier, and I think we talked about the night it happened. I think Miles Turner could get a ton of threes in this series.
He's
the X factor for Indiana.
My man Hartenstein ain't coming out that block, boy. I love my man Isaiah, but he old school, boy. He ain't coming out that deep water.
No, Turner's the key. He's the key.
Man, I love to see him with the Raptors, man. I told him damn trade with Portland, man.
Absolutely.
Yes, I still think though that they're going to need Siakam's inside scoring to have a chance, especially in the half court, because the problem with OKC is not only do they play at a fast pace, but they also defend at a fast pace. And if the refs are calling it like they've been calling it, Indiana's going to have a lot of trouble scoring on that.
That is my one fear of this series, man, is the referees. Because I think, to your point, Mouth, I think of any team in the league where the refereeing does seem to impact the game a little bit more, for better or for worse, OKC, has that on their side a little bit, if you want to call it that. They're allowed to pretty much grab, pull, hold, or wherever they want on defense. And if you kind of breathe too hard or stare too hard at Shea, he's going to the free throw line. So it's like, if that plays out and that equation plays out, it would be a little tough for Indiana to kind of stick with them. But if they call it tight all the way around, I think the Pacers have a puncher's chance then, because then it's like, okay, they have enough guys to draw fouls too. But that whistle is going to be interesting to see how that whistle plays out.
Yeah, Turner's going to have to make threes. It's like Beyond will remember this. It's back when the Bulls played the Hornets in the playoffs. They left Muggsy Bogues open, and he had to make shots, so they had no chance to win because they knew that he couldn't make the shot. They're going to leave Turner open, and it's going to be up to him to hit the threes because they're going to put.
I think they're playing with fire. They let Turner sit. Turner knocking on 5-6 threes a game. I don't think that's the issue. My issue, I guess, is more OKC's offense, because to me, that's the X factor I don't know about. It's always my concern with OKC. I don't know who's coming to the party besides Shea. I don't know. I mean, it's been on, off. I mean, Chet's been fairly consistent. Jalen Williams has been up and down like a roller coaster. I don't know which one you're getting, which game it is. And the guards in this case, besides that not in Case and Wallace, don't really shoot threes that well.
Yeah.
Right? Like Lou Dort had a few of them and threw up some rainbows that saved them in one game against Denver. Caruso, odd one might show up here or there, but he ain't no real shooter either. So if Indiana starts realizing, you know what? We're just going to give you that shot. Knock yourself out. We're going to sag back here in the lane for your wing guys. And you know what? Lou Dort beat us tonight.
The problem Indiana could have, though, is Neesmith can't be in foul trouble. I just don't know who else is going to remotely be able to guard Shea. Never heard a bit, but there's a bit of a size difference there.
I think they got three. I think they got some quirky options actually that people aren't thinking of. You could move Siakam on them.
It depends on the lineup.
I wouldn't do it because
I don't think that's a good idea.
Sorry, I just want to make a point.
Yeah,
Siakam works really well in that defense in the position that he is. If you move him out of that, they do not have the backline defenders to make it work. The reason why their defense is improved is purely because of the way that they're using Siakam in that specific manner. And so there are going to be moments where, like, yes, you can move him up and you don't want, he won't want to get Siakam on a switch. But at the same time, if you're using Siakam there, like a lot of what they're doing, you're seeing they're actually funneling guys into Siakam in some ways.
Well, I would suggest that he would be the first option that we're to throw the ball up and Siakam's getting into the cover. I just think it's like certain situations where it's 3 minutes left to go in a tight game. Okay, there you go, right? Like that's the way I would apply him. The other possibility is I think is more likelier. I would actually move Siakam to Williams late in games.
Yeah, I can see because again, you don't want him to burn out. I mean, he's probably one of the most well-conditioned athletes like in the finals right now. But at the same time, it's like it's still like you don't want him to expend all of his energy on defense because there's sometimes when you need to just dump it into the post to get a bucket, and he can do that for you.
Look, man, I enjoy him. He's my guy. But I'm going to be harsh. It don't matter the case. Man, my man from Montreal got to show up in this series. Like,
well,
if they
which
got a
one?
chance,
Which one? Which one?
which one? What do you mean, which one?
Fourth.
The one in this case is the
Fourth.
fourth pick.
There's technically two in the series.
I ain't talking about that one. I ain't talking about the one. I ain't talking about the one playing Oklahoma. I'm talking about the one in Indiana. He
Gotcha.
better show up if Indiana want to have a chance. He can't be putting up 6 points.
Yeah.
Not in this round.
No.
So yeah, we talked about this on the offensive end, maybe because Turner at times plays quite soft, but defensively, I don't think so because I don't think that he has the speed to close out in that way on Turner. So it's like I said, it's going to be a very fast pace. It's probably going to be one of the fastest pace. It's fun, exciting finals that we will see in a very long time. It's going to be different, and it might inform team building too. Because I mean, for all those people who say like, oh, like stocking first round picks is this and that, and what have the OKC Thunder done? When it's all said and done, they might be able to say, well, we finally got a chip, and if that's the case, that changes how it informs team building. So yeah,
I think with this finals, though, you got two teams. They have depth. So the era of the super team might be over with. It's the era of we need guys we can go 10, 11 deep and we can play that way. So it's the battle of attrition. Why the Knicks lose? Don't have enough guys. Why didn't they win? They play 9, 10 guys all season long. So this is not like foreign to them the way that they play. Same with OKC.
So even if they win in 5, the reason why I say it's a fun series is because it's going to be such a fast-paced basketball. And to be honest, both teams execute quite well. It's not like the Pacers are really sloppy with the ball in general. So there's a lot there in terms of from a basketball standpoint. Also, OKC's defense is I hate saying this, but it's probably the best defense that I've seen since the 2019 Raptors.
No, it's on a historic level.
Absolutely.
Sorry, Bjorn?
It's on a historic level. Some of the numbers are putting up. That's what's kept them in these series sometimes when the offense is stalled out. I think the only thing, if I'm coming from, if I'm let me speak to my cousin who's a Pacers guy, lives right there in the center of it. If I'm going to throw it and say to him, what's your chance of winning this series, is that you're going to play good enough defense. When the OKC lulls happen, the Pels going to be the medal for Indiana. They're never going to stop scoring. And I think that's the thing where OKC has moments where they will stall out. And that's where, if Indiana is going to be very opportunistic, that's where they're going to have to find their chances to do so.
Yeah, Indy's going to have to avoid the OKC run. And for those who don't know, those 26-3 runs, those runs where OKC plays incredible defense and they beat a team 35-10 in a quarter. Like we've seen that many, many times throughout the year, including against Denver, where they outscored them like 23-8. We saw the comeback against Memphis. They're down 29 points. They win the game by 16. Like, they've got to avoid those insane 6-minute runs, because if that happens, it's going to be a quick series. They're going to have to try to stay close enough, like Denver did, and try to pick them off in overtime or pick them off at the end, like Indiana's done throughout the entire playoffs. I just don't see how that's going to happen unless Jalen Williams has the series he had against Denver, where he was a total no-show for 3 of the games, and that made it a 7-game series. If Jalen Williams shows up in the games, the series is going to be over quickly, because if they have a second scoring option that's coming through for them like he should, Indiana has 0 chance to win the series. If it's just Shea, then it could get interesting.
Yes. Now, I think the other thing too is, I'm just trying to think, like the backline guys, like, is Neesmith going to be healthy? I think maybe I'm biased, but I'd like to see a little bit of less Dort and more Case and Wallace minutes. I think Caruso.
I think you get your wish this series.
I hope so.
Yeah,
I love Dort, but like it's a little bit of a high wire act sometimes.
When losers missed the 5th shot in a row, that clock's coming.
Yeah. I don't think it's about this. By the way, Mouth is taking them in 4 or 5. Yeah, to be fair, but I don't think you need Jokic to keep it close. I think it goes beyond Jokic. I think it's the style of play. And to be honest, I don't think that Denver this year was as good as nearly people even thought. The entire year, they should have went and gotten Chris Boucher. To be fair, boy, do they wish that they had one other guy. So yeah.
Yeah, and by
All
the
the
way,
championship-
Brandon, Aaron Gordon was a big reason why that series was close, not necessarily Jokic.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yes, for sure.
No, I was just saying all the championship experience though is on Indiana.
I mean, the
Carlisle
original Scotty Barnes.
won a chip.
Sorry.
We know in 2012 against LeBron and those guys, or whatever, 2011. Siakam, he's got the chip from 2019. I don't know if anyone else on Indiana's got a chip or not. I don't think so.
Oh, only the coach.
Coach and Siakam.
Which does matter. That does matter.
It does matter because I mean we can find out what this coach at OKC does. I mean, we'll see what he does. He hasn't really had the OKC's always played with house money because they've always been, even though they've been technically a favorite, they've always been seen kind of like the underdog. We'll see how it plays when they're kind of like the hunted for the first time, really.
Yeah, Caruso. My apologies on OKC. He's got one with the Lakers.
I want the Thunder to win this series so bad because I want that young, inexperienced narrative to disappear forever. If they become the youngest team in NBA history with the MVP, with all the inexperience that everyone talks about, everybody picked against this team in multiple rounds. ESPN will have nothing to talk about. Just about everybody in the U.S. will have nothing to talk about because the inexperienced young team with the free throw merchant won the title and won it easy. I really hope they win and win convincingly.
Now, one thing that I think is really important to point out is from just a culture standpoint, the amount of Canadian basketball that is being played throughout all the playoffs, but also this specific series, I think is great for the culture. It's great moving forward. There are kids that are going to watch this and see, just like how kids saw Steve Nash, there are kids that are going to watch this finals and they will be inspired to play basketball. I think that is something, honestly, that is at this point understated. I think it's important. And I think it will have a big impact. Ben Mathurin, Nemhard, Lou Dort, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, et cetera, et cetera. Like it's just,
and then of course they have a former star player from the team that is in this country as well.
Well, that's too. It's Siakam. Whoever wins, and now I'm picking OKC. And I'm picking them in 6. I picked them to get to this spot. I originally, I changed my thing because I didn't see the injury stuff, but I had originally from the first round picked Indiana to make the conference finals. I thought it was going to be against Boston. Didn't happen. But a lot of people didn't even have that. I think OKC right now, they are young, but I think that they will ultimately come out on top. And whoever wins, though, because you never know. I know some people think in Black Voodoo Magic, all this kind of stuff, suddenly, is a player gets hurt, let's say. I'm not going to say names. I do not want to jinx this series. And things happen. And if that happens, either way, I'm happy. That's what I'll say. I really.
And speaking of the Canadian basketball players, what's going on right now? U16 Canada's been playing. Check out Isaiah Hamilton. Kid's going in the NBA in 4 years.
Okay, stay tuned. Stay
Probably
tuned.
you've heard from other people maybe, but you heard it on this show first.
What position he plays, Coach?
I think he's a forward. I think he's 6'4", 6'5". Today he was on a breakaway, and I don't know what country they were playing. He just threw down between the legs dunk on a breakaway, and I'm like, whoa, we got a big time athlete here. But he's been talked about on the scene now for about a year or so. He's going to be Canada's next big star, probably 4 or 5 years.
I mean, just before we exit out of this, for me, I look at Team Canada and I look moving forward. It's like, my goodness, it's like just the amount of the plethora of people that you have to select from. So, Sharp, Leonard Miller, Zach Edey, even just he's sticking with the forwards. I think Wiggins might be in the running, but at this point, it's like, if you didn't play with it last time, just get out of here. I just don't want to waste time trying to beg a dude. Shea, obviously, Lou Dort. There's Ben Mathurin. There is whoever the heck. I mean, I don't think he's going to be old enough. But
George Washington. He wants
Jamal
to play.
Murray will still be on the.
Who?
Jamal Murray will still be on the team, I assume.
No, I don't think so.
Did you see his legs?
Yeah,
I
He
did.
barely handled it last time.
Yeah, he will not be on the team. There's a better chance Wiggins be on the team than Murray.
Wow, really? Oh my
I
goodness.
think they're going to give him the Corey Joseph treatment,
Yeah, Murray's done.
right?
Um,
you can show up at training camp, but ultimately he ain't coming on the bus ride.
I
The
mean,
George
there's-
Washington.
kid from Washington, George is nice. I like
Yeah,
Keyshawn.
Yeah,
Nikhil
I like-
Alexander
Tyson
Walker.
George. Yep.
Keyshawn
Um,
George.
Walker's going to be on the team for sure.
You might have Will Riley by that time in 2028.
Brandon Clark.
He might be too old by then.
He
Yeah.
never suited
He's,
up
he's
again.
only 26 right now.
Yeah, that's true.
Injuries,
It's just
though,
his
man.
knees are
Injuries.
just like age
Yeah.
32.
46.
Yeah.
Yeah, he might be around. But I mean, it's gonna be a lot of fun. My man Banton out there in Portland.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think he's playing for FSU. I think he's playing for Florida.
University of Florida.
Yeah,
You
University
got
of
the
Florida.
kid Holloway out
He's a
there.
Gators man.
Holloway from,
I mentioned that Ryu. He's interesting, Oliver Ryu.
He is. I think he will work out in FIBA. I don't think he's an NBA player right now, but we'll see.
Yeah, he may not be. Yeah,
he is like 7'9" or whatever the heck it
You
is.
can't teach 7'9".
No, you
You
can't
got
teach
my man from
7'9".
Dallas that might get a look there, Max.
Oh,
Max.
right, yes, Omax, Keyshawn George.
Yeah.
Tyshawn George, yeah.
Yeah,
A lot
I
of
mean,
different players,
it's
man.
like I'm like forgetting dudes, and it's like, oh yeah, and him, and him, and him. So I think there's a lot of guys. I think that there's guys in this year's draft. I didn't even say Andrew Nemhard.
Yeah, I know exactly. There's two Nemharts that will be probably in the
Oh, Ryan Hickard is the game
And
draft.
Ryan as well, yeah.
He might be 39 for the Raptors, quite honestly.
He could be. We'll
kid
see.
from Auburn in this case. Holloway might be in the mix by then. So there's
There's that Xavier Lee guy. I know he's going back into college this year.
right. Xavier Lee, yeah.
Yeah, which good for him. I think I can't remember what they said the NIL deal was for him, but
$6 million.
And he's transferring right from Stanford to a different.
Brandon Boucher ain't making this roster, man. Sorry.
no Ken Birch.
Oh, Boucher? No,
Yeah, Boucher ain't making this roster. Nope.
This was his last time. He probably should have made the roster, but yeah, Will Riley. There's another one. Yep.
I don't know what's up with him in Team Canada. I don't get that one bit. Man. It's weird.
Yeah, it is a weird thing. And don't worry, folks. We won't have to talk about Ken Birch or Tristan Thompson. Holy
Yes,
smokes!
he is here. Thank goodness.
Yes. Hopefully, we just need one other dude. If we can solidify that, I think we have a chance of doing something because that French team is a big team. Holy smokes!
My God. Oh my God.
Wemby, Sarr, Asenge, Risache, Koulibaly. What?
Hey, don't forget my man Maxime coming into the fold.
Maxime, Nolan, Usman Dang.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yep.
man.
That
They got
French
a lot
team's
of people
huge.
to select from. So
Yeah, they do. That's the first team I've seen. Yeah.
He did win, and kudos to him. But
Kudos
I
to
think
Kim.
2028 might be a little bit much.
Yeah, we're moved on for that generation, man. Powell, Kim.
We need young knees is what we need.
You need Beyond Sky, Capangeli probably. He'd be ready by that time.
He should be on the team.
Yeah.
And of course, right now, Big Z will be anchoring things, or Big Z, depending on which country you're in.
Yeah. You know what, Killian? If I'm not mistaken, didn't Killian Hayes play for France? So there you go. I mean, like I'm just talking about.
He didn't play for long though. He had to get the Detroit treatment. He was
didn't play for long. But hey, I mean, at least they got a selection. You need people in practice.
They learned what Detroit had to take about a year or two to figure out, but they learned real quick. It's like okay.
You know what? We didn't mention Richache.
I did.
Yeah,
you did? Okay.
Yeah. And God knows what's coming in the next year or two out of France. There's always someone big time talent.
And my man from Portland, Ryan
Brooks.
Rupert. Yeah, Brooks. I know. I thought Brooks. Ryan Rupert. Come on now.
Oh my God.
He played well for Portland. Rupert.
I'm not going there.
The switch over of the U.S. team from the old guard to the new guard will also be interesting.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
they have
Yes,
some.
it
They have
will.
No KD, no Curry, no those guys will be gone, right? So
Did we mention Sharp, by the way? I think I mentioned Sharp
Yep.
initially.
Yeah.
And RJ Barrett, of course.
Yeah, I was wondering who's going to pick up RJ. I was just keeping quiet. It's like,
You
we're going
know,
to mention RJ.
yeah.
RJ had a tough pod today.
I'm sorry, RJ. It's like you're getting forgotten by
Forgot
the
about
Raptors
RJ,
and by us,
man.
man.
We're trading him here.
I never forget you, RJ. You ain't none of my deals going to Milwaukee.
That's right, coach. Coach RJ for life, boy. No doubt, man.
I just wait for someone to ask if we can get Robert Sacre back.
Oh my
Like at this
God.
point.
It's really Gonzaga boy.
Also, Duarte, but I think Duarte's out of the NBA at this
But
point.
Duarte ain't making this cut.
Chris
Man.
Duarte? Yeah.
Yeah, he's not making this
he's
cut.
gone.
He played for Sacramento. That's where he got.
Yeah.
For a bit.
Yeah.
I don't know what he's doing now.
No,
But
he's in Sacramento. Duarte.
yeah. It's a tough
And
life,
the
man.
Sacramento Kings, my God.
Caleb Houston as well, by the way. Scotty Barnes, one of his friends.
Yeah, Houston might be in the mix. Yeah,
That's right, Pascal Siakam, Stan. He is a good FIBA player.
exactly.
He is.
He's a good
He's
NBA player, man. He's just not. He's just not the right team. He's not in the right place for us. But he's not bad. RJ's a good quality NBA player. He's just solid.
Yep.
Yeah.
He'll be good in the Wizards jersey. So yeah.
I'm going to wear my jersey next live. I think.
No doubt, man. Coach, you got to represent, man. This guy, you're talking a lot of slander here about your man, man.
I feel like I might be one of the only RJ fans probably in Raptor Nation. Maybe there's a few.
Actually,
there's a few out there.
I actually like RJ.
I'll say this much, Coach. I think hardcore folks that be on here listening to this stuff like that, I agree with you. But I think of the of the lay people that are just at the Eaton Center, I think RJ is way more popular. Yeah, them folks is like, RJ probably is one of the few rappers they know.
I mean, if you're at the Eaton Center right now watching this, you may want to make sure that you don't get kicked out soon.
Yeah. Again, my bias, I saw RJ when he was 14 in Halifax. So I have a little bit of bias there where I saw this kid play U17 at 14 years old.
So okay.
Yeah, I'd rather trade IQ too, Giovanni.
So before we get out of it, do you want to talk about this? Because this is interesting. So I don't agree that RJ is a better point guard, which what the person said after. But what I will say is this: there's an easier pathway for IQ to make up the difference. However, I don't think he makes that pathway because a lot of it is mental and how he approaches it. I think he attacks the basket at the wrong angles. I think his dribble he picks it up too easy, and so the pathways for both of them to be better. RJ has a harder pathway, but from like the things that he has to do, I think it ends up more likely that he ends up going down that pathway. IQ, I think it's going to be a struggle. I think you're basically hoping that he becomes more of an off-ball player when you've invested so much into him being a point guard, and that's tough. So to me, I agree. I would be more likely to trade RJ, but I don't think that that's how the team feels because they just paid IQ a $32 million 5-year contract.
Las Vegas Spades, man, coming your way, man.
And I said this to Kenyon prior to the show. We don't know what IQ is because in New York he did not start, and he just had a season with us where he started 32 games. He has not started a full season his entire career. We don't know what he is either.
True.
Well, yeah.
I feel like no, but we'll see. I'll let the others figure it out.
So I think that's the pod, guys. Yeah. What do you guys think?
I think so. We've done everything, man. We've talked Olympics. We talked in this case here on finals. We discussed the Giannis trades, and we even talked about organization charts, man. We all over the place. We got to bet everything today.
Yes. Expansion, people. It'll help a lot. On that note, it's been fun. Like, comment, and subscribe. I am not watch on the actual thing, but please like the video if you guys liked it. Subscribe if you're not. Leave a comment later on. I have 3 videos coming up. One is James Barlow. So I answered everyone. I don't think Andre's in the thing, but I answered his stuff. I answered everyone's stuff. Even the Hawks guy who left and asked about the Hawks. I asked about Hawks. Basketball Rewind, not just Raptors Rewind. Let's see. I have another mock draft that has already been filmed, done. So we're covering CBS. And I also have another one as well, which is the Yahoo Sports one. We're going. And then I have another video that I'm editing right now. And then on top of that, I have a grading video. So I have a whole bunch of stuff coming for you. Stay locked in, stay tuned in, and stay well. And, take care, people. Peace. And enjoy the finals and don't take this stuff too seriously. Take care.